Are you gonna clear that? It's tight.
Good morning. Big day for us today.
We
Man's
are
getting new socks.
new socks, new
shoes.
shoes, new socks. What kind of what?
I meant to say shoes.
We are finally getting new tires and rims.
Yeah, and we just got our first glance of them, and they look amazing. So hopefully he's got to figure out if he's got the right bolts to get them on, because the Mercedes have long bolts, especially on the rear, I guess. So, but hopefully he can find them. We can get them on there, and it'll look awesome. And
I am so excited to see these new tires on. We are very thankful for the stock tires that took us across literally the entire country, but it's time to upgrade.
Yeah. The only thing I'm worried about is a little bit of rubbing, but we know what we'll have to do if that's the case, because we're going a little bit bigger on the tires over the stock tires, but I think it'll look really good.
Hopefully with the lift that comes with the 4x4, maybe it'll give us a little bit more clearance. We've seen on YouTube people that don't have the 4x4 do have a little bit of rubbing, and they have to remove a piece of metal on the van. So
we'll see.
We're gonna see.
So let's get them installed and we'll try it out.
We'll show you the new tires. They look so nice.
So we got some shots of them on there, but we had a little bit of a hitch that we ran into. The bolts aren't long enough to go into the Mercedes the way that they have it. The new tires have like a thick threshold they have to go through, and then the actual rotor has a thick threshold before the thread starts. So we need to get some longer bolts that will fit in there properly. So
and he just doesn't have them, and we also need them in black to match the tires. So he said chrome's way easier to find. The black is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but he expects to have them in a few days.
So hopefully the next scene here that we go to right after this is the new tires going on.
Oh, aren't you going to do some more fun things tomorrow?
Oh, maybe tomorrow we'll do some suspension. We'll see how the weather is. So.
Yeah, so as long as it's not raining, we're back to the build this week.
So we'll see it with the suspension.
All right, see you at home.
Bye. Okay, so while we wait for those tires to come get the new proper bolts so that we can install the brand new tires on here, it's time to fix the suspension, at least partially. So I'll show you the van. So this has been driving me crazy forever, since for the longest time now. So you can see how high it's sitting on the front. That's stock, how it should be sitting. Back here is sitting a little bit lower. So what we're gonna do is put on some of these leaf springs. So we've got 2 leaf springs here that are stock, and then there's a Van Compass kit specifically for this year or this model of Sprinter, where we're gonna add 3 smaller leaf springs that are gonna connect to the underside of these 2, and then that will help kind of provide a little bit more support, lift it up a bit, and then so I'm not sure whether it'll completely bring it back to where it's supposed to be, but it'll give the extra strength on the leaf springs. And then I've got another suspension kit coming that includes some Sumo springs, some Falcon shocks, and a sway bar that we're going to put in as well. I think between all of that, it's going to improve our ride quality, and it's going to keep the back end up where it should be. So looking forward to finally getting this thing more level. So we're going to get started. Okay, so parking brakes on. These are the leaf springs that I'm going to be putting on. I've got my jack stands here. So we're going to jack it up, put it down on the stands. These are rated for 6 tons each, 12 tons total. So we'll be using 20% of their capability to hold this up, not even, on the back end. And yeah, got the chocks up there. So we'll get this first step is to get this thing jacked up, take the tires off, and then we'll work through the process of getting these on there. Okay, so what I've done is I put my first jack stand on. The Sprinters have these jack mounting spots where you can actually put the jack stand, and I got it just high enough to be able to have the tire has some clearance underneath, so I'll be able to get that off. And yeah, so that's perfect. So that's one. I'm gonna go do the other side, and then we'll pull the tires off. All right, so we've got both tires removed. Everything is on the jack stands, which is good. So I'm going to follow the instructions. The nice thing is that these are made exactly for the Sprinters, so Van Compass does a great job of documenting with pictures every single step to go through and install these. So we're just going to take it one step at a time, make sure we do it properly and safely, and then we'll do one side. I'm sure one side will take twice as long as the other side once we know how we do it. So I'll try to get done nice and quick. So basically the first thing we got to do is remove this sway bar bolt. So this is the sway bar. We have a different one coming that we're going to be putting on here, but I'm actually not sure whether we're replacing this one or how it's working. I'll need to look, but basically we need to remove this bolt and then the same on the other side, and that's the first step to getting this these leaf springs added. Okay, so what I've done so far here is I've taken off this shock, supported the axle. So there's a shock here. Just took out the bottom bolt there, supported the axle, and then now I'm going to take these U's off here. So I'm just slowly getting these bolts or nuts here unscrewed, and then that way I'll be able to get this spacer out, this lift, and then that will give me the space to be able to go and add in the new springs. Okay, so I got the U bolts off, and then this just sits on top, and then this is where the new ones are going to go around there. And I took the brake line off of the connection little bracket there, and then now what I'm going to do is lower the jack so the axle comes down a bit and I can get this lift block out of here. Lift block, whatever you call it, is removed. Now we've got lots of room to play with here as we install these new springs. Okay, so we're pretty much at the time where we can put this. I disassembled the bolt that was here, the bolts that were on the side here. So what I'm going to do is get this on the bottom there, clamp it in place. I'll have to kind of slide it along so that the holes line up. So I'll then be able to run this bolt up through the center, and then that's what will bolt those pieces together. And then these side pieces will bolt over the leaf springs over on the sides there, and that's how it'll all kind of hold in place. Okay, so we've got that in there, put these bolts in. This bolt's going right through there, and that's tightened down. Everything's tightened down to 22 pounds of torque. So I've got my torque wrench here. So we're just making sure everything is in there nice and tight. And then I'm using some thread locker on everything just to make sure it's not going to come undone. And then now what I've done is I put this lift block back in here. And then I think the next step is pretty much we're going to raise the axle again, and then that way we can get these U bolts back on there. So it's almost done. It's not too hard, it's just tedious. So you get these nice long U bolts to kind of account for the new distance added between where the bolts go in there, thanks to the new leaf spring. So these nice shiny ones and some nice coated bolts that we'll use to put it back on. It's hard to do a torque wrench at 125 pounds or feet-pounds, whatever you call it, at this angle underneath here. So put those two are on. Gonna finish up the other side. So that's the completed product pretty much. I got the brake line back on that little hook there. I need to put the shock back on down here, and then reattach the sway bar. I think I'll do that after I do the other side though. So this is how it's going to work. So once I basically, I guess what's going to happen is I'll release the pressure on the axle, and then I'll be able to put the tire. I'll put the tire back on at some point, and then once the pressure kind of comes on here, this should help support this entire leaf on this side and help prevent it from sagging so much. So we're hoping for an obvious or noticeable difference. So we'll see. Okay, as you saw there, it got really dark there on the installation of the passenger side leaf springs. So, but it was getting really dark. Couldn't even see my tools on the ground and stuff. But so I definitely wasn't going to be able to show you on the camera. But here it is. It is the next day, and this is what it looks like. it looks amazing. So the back was sitting down probably about at least like around 2 inches or so, because I don't have the exact measurements, but I would shove my phone in there between the top of the tire and the top of, or the bottom, or whatever, the top of the wheel well, and I had my phone length, full phone, plus like a couple, maybe like 2 inches, and back here I could barely fit my phone in. Now they're exactly the same. Like literally, I took a measuring tape, and I think it was 7 inches and 7/8 inches, 7 and 7/8 of an inch on both the front and back. Couldn't have worked out better. I didn't expect that the leaf springs would bring it up that far, right to where it needs to be. We are still going to be putting the new shocks on, the Sumo springs and everything, which will just help with the ride quality, but I already noticed a huge difference in ride quality just driving it around today. It handles turns way better, and even going over the bumps, you can tell it's handling it way better. So far that's a huge plus, way better than my expectations, and the installation wasn't too bad. So today we are going to continue on, and we got another surprise. So we're not done with the build. So Nicole's over here. We're going to set up the van, and then we're going to install another really exciting part.
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I can't wait to get this on here.
I'm so excited. Should we tell them what it is?
I kind of wish that we had the new tires for this, though.
I know, but it's all going to work in sequence. It's all going to come together by the end of the week. I'm just so excited.
So we're going to be putting something that's very exciting right over there on the back of the door of the van.
So we got this incredible tire rack from our friend Glenn at Nirvana Outfitters. He is located in Salmon Arm, British Columbia. We had wished we had connected with him when we were on our trip out in BC, but we promised Glenn that we will come back next time out, and we are going to visit your shop. He's got everything that you can imagine for a van, and he was so helpful to ship this thing out to us so fast. I am super pumped to get it on.
It's made by a company called Owl Vans, and I've seen they make all kinds of accessories for sprinters. So when we were actually in Squamish, we saw another van with one of these on there, and we said that we need to have that. So
I think one of the reasons we really love the tire rack is it like appeals to me, because I have a Jeep Wrangler, and it's going to look like the Wrangler, how it sits, it holds our spare tire, and I think that's super cool. And like the back of the van is just kind of empty right now. It feels like it needs a little bit of something, and we're not sure if we're doing windows. Somebody mentioned to us that maybe not do the windows because we're doing the rack, so actually that's a great idea. I'm glad we haven't ordered them yet, so I'm interested to see the rack and the new tire go on that later this week. Yeah,
so it'll really show off that like nice black, was it black Rhino? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, black Rhino rims.
Black Rhino rims with a really beefy tire back there. For now, we do have the not so beefy road tires, but we're going to throw it on there anyways just to see what it looks like, and then hopefully later this week we get that upgraded. But and it's also going to free up some space underneath, which we will be able to do some accessorizing down there as well. So so there's a space under the van that this is going to give us.
We're already brainstorming what we can utilize the original spare tire holder for.
Yep, and I think we've got some ideas we'll share later on. So let's get started. Let's get this installed. I don't think it's going to be too bad. It's like comes with great instructions, and it's made for the van, so it shouldn't be too bad.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. So the first thing that we need to do is actually make some adjustments to our hinges. So the hinges that come with this, they're 270-degree hinges that allow the door to go all the way around. That's not going to work for when you have a big tire on there. You don't want the tire hitting the side of the van. And then also there are holes that need to be in place for the tire rack to actually mount to. And I think some vans, it sounds like some of maybe the Revel vans or whatever, they come with the hinges that you need. But so what we're gonna have to do is first change the hinges on this door. We bought these throughout with it comes from Owl Vans as well, and it's just basically gonna mount on there. We're gonna do the top one first, support the door, and then we're gonna do the bottom one. And then once these are on here, we'll be able to screw in there and attach the brackets. Okay, so first new hinge is installed here. It's powder coated black, but it's going to match all the rest of the tire rack once we install that. We reuse these existing bolts that came with the van. They are white, but they're going to be hidden in there. You won't be able to see them once we put the rack on. So now when we open up the van door, we only have the one hinge on so far, but we can kind of see how far it's going to go. And that's kind of as far as the door is going to open, but that way when we have our tire on the back here, it's not going to come smashing in and hitting our side of the van here and barking it up. So looks good. So that's one, that's easy, and we're going to do the bottom one now. rack is going to install right on here. These holes are going to be where there's going to be bolts that go through, and that's what's going to hold up this side of the rack. And then what we need to do is, it comes with this template, and that's going to go on here, and we just need to line it up kind of right in the groove of the side of the emblem there, line it up right with the side here, and I'm going to take a Sharpie and draw this circle. And then what we're going to do is drill through this straight through to the other side. And then it has a step drill bit that comes with it, and then we're going to drill that to be the exact size of this hole. And then this is going to be used to actually mount and give more support to the whole kind of rack system. There is multi-layers of steel here, so there's the outer level of steel, and then there's an inner layer of steel that is thicker, and that's why they choose to do it this way. And if you look at their YouTube videos, you can see how that bolts in there and how that really gives the right amount of support it needs to hold all this weight. So we'll start off by doing this template.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks good to me. So what we'll do is we'll add some paint onto this just to keep it from rusting. This has a backing here. It's got a 3M adhesive. It's a metal plate, powder coated, and then this is going to meet up with that. It's the right distance to meet up with that other piece of thicker support metal that's in the middle of the door. And the bolt that we're going to put on the other side is going to bolt that right up against there, and that's where it's going to get a lot of strength. So go ahead and take the adhesive off here. Just line it up. Right there. Good. And then just give it a good push. Now what we're going to do is take this, they've given you some parts and stuff that are going to be going into here where there's the holes in the hinges that we, on the new hinges that we installed. Then there's going to be bolts that go through here. And then on the other side, that's what we're going to connect. We're going to mount the ladder and the tire rack to. So, so these things will just go through, and then we'll tighten those, and then that's how they'll mount onto the hinges. And then after that, we will use this hole to kind of mount the other side of the rack to it.
I'm excited to be changing these up later this week for the new tires that we showed you a little earlier in the week. We just gotta wait for the bolts to come in, and there might be one more thing that's showing up in the mail that's gonna go on the front of the van, but we're just waiting. It may be this week, it might be next week. Either way, we're pumped to get it on. So I think that's a wrap for the night.
I'd say so.
All right, so we will see you at the tire shop. Oh, what's this?
We got some more fun for the van.
More fun.
We gotta put more stuff on. So it's a nice light box.
What could it be?
What could it be?
Oh, let's open it up.
Yeah.
Woohoo! What is it?
It's a brush guard.
Or a moose stopper.
Or a moose stopper or a deer stopper. I don't think it'll do much for a moose, but
Well,
anything's better than nothing.
yeah.
Just to show how light this thing is, this huge brush guard, hold it with my pinky. We'll hold it right on there. It's so light but very strong. It's made out of solid aluminum, or well, it's not solid aluminum, but aluminum that is tubing that is powder coated, and it looks amazing. Let's see what it looked like on the van. Just like that, yeah. There's some
Sweet.
bolts under there. And I don't know. I assume that
He said the 2 bolts
for the top.
go right here.
Yeah. I just don't know if I need to take the ones out that are in there.
I think you do. And then you put them back in.
Yeah, but the bottom ones I can see there's bolts sitting right here ready to go.
Okay.
Nice.
Sick.
Looks good.
That looks so good.
Continues on with all the look of the rest of the van.
I know. So our friends Alexia and Lorenzo from Stoked Adventure Outfitters, who you met a while ago while we were getting our beautiful roof rack put on, sent us this brush guard, and we are literally super stoked, haha, to have this here. We cannot wait to have this final piece on the van from Stoked, and we hope that they continue to make more awesome products so that we can continue to support them. We will leave their link below. They are based out of Squamish, BC, and they are an incredible small company. Chris is so stoked. Chris literally wears their hat every day. We are so happy to promote them and help grow their incredible business because, like we said, Lorenzo actually does all of the welding.
Yeah, he's the welder and fabricator. He's the metal fabricator.
Mm-hmm. So he makes everything and then he sends it out to be powder coated. So let's get this installed and see how it looks. It looks so awesome on. Thank you again to Stoked Adventure Outfitters for sending that over to us. We cannot wait to get out on the road with it, probably this weekend. So with that, we have a tire appointment booked for tomorrow, so we will see you at the tire shop getting new shoes on the van. Have a good night, guys. Good morning. We are at the tire shop and getting the tires installed, so let's get these on and getting the van looking a little bit better.
It's done.
Time for the grand reveal.
Check it out.
Whoa. Check out those tires. They look sweet.
Show the one in the back.
Well, just in time, the tire rack to now hold our sweet tire instead of our stock tires. The black rims look so much nicer than the silver, aluminum. What are they?
In the stock
They're
tires.
ugly.
And there's very, very minimal rubbing. It's not. It seems like it's just rubbing a little bit on the mud flap. So I might have to make a little. I'm going to make a little adjustment there, but it doesn't seem like it's not like you feel it on the steering wheel. You can just hear it a little bit. So that'll be fine. We'll make an adjustment real quick there, and I think it'll be good.
I'm excited. All right. So that is it for this week's video. We are so stoked. We literally got so much done this week. We got the tire rack, we got new tires.
It looks like a new van again.
We got the leaf springs put on and the brush guard.
Yep.
So we will see you next week. If you love this video, if you love following the van builds and our adventures, please subscribe if you're not already subscribed, like and leave a comment below, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye guys.